Wait, where's that coming from?
Who's playing music?
Matt.
Oh, that's our YouTube page. Sorry, that was
Were
me.
you doing something?
You ready? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Ricky. You ready?
Sorry.
Yeah. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1502, March 12, 2025. 70 degrees on this day in 2016, 8 below in 1956, and almost a foot of snow on this day in 1899.
Gross.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Sushi.
Yes.
Ask, and you shall receive. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go to garagelogic.com.
Yep.
Click on the Garage Logic shop, and guess what's back?
The flag.
The GL flag.
Ooh.
You've been asking. It's behind me right now for those of you watching on YouTube, by the way.
That's a flag?
Yes.
Oh my Lord, that's the kind of
huge.
flag that hangs outside of Perkins.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's fantastic. So those of you that have been asking for
My
months and
God.
months and months.
$1,000?
No.
$5,000.
6.
Why is it so big?
Well, it's a flag.
Wow.
You want the size of a postage
It's
stamp?
bigger than the state flag.
I think so. So go online. Go to garagelogic.com.
Order one right
Click
now.
on the shop. Yeah, I was going to say, you might want to put your order in right now for one because they might go fast. Anyway, but
Okay.
you go online and there's all sorts of new stuff there at the Garage Logic online shop.
Wait
but
a minute,
the
I'm
flag
on the
is
page.
back.
Where is it, Chris?
It should be at the very top. It's on the top of mine.
You guys will have to help me with this email. This is Matt Gilsdorf, your GL Demo Derby car driver. Although I haven't done much Demo Derby lately because cars have become extremely hard to find. He represents us out of the goodness of his heart. We've really placed no financial investment in this guy.
I've watched Matt in action.
Well, maybe you guys know what he's referring to here. I thought you would find it cool to know that I am dating Bridget McCutcheon's cousin.
Oh, that is cool.
Her name is JoJo. I have yet to meet Bridget, but from the stories I have heard, she sounds like a fascinating person. Kind of a small world here in GL. Still waiting on the GL sponsorship for my Derby cars, by the way. Or maybe I should just create some sort of fraud so the state can sponsor me. Cheers, Matt. Now, Bridget is the gal that the Krabby Coffee Shop followed on her motorcycle trip around the world. Is that correct?
Yeah. Such a badass. So cool, too.
And our own demo driver, Derby driver, is dating Bridget's cousin,
JoJo.
JoJo. Isn't that a small world?
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to paint it.
Thank you, Stephen.
Isn't that funny? John said he wouldn't want to paint it.
That's a Stephen Wright line.
Yep.
No surprises that the DFL candidate in 40B won 70% of the vote.
What a country.
What's his name? David
Gottfried.
Gottfried beat Paul Wickstrom.
That was
Handily.
F-word Godfrey?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Handily. And so now it's 67-67 in the House.
It's all tied up.
And it's all tied up, and leadership duties will be shared. Apparently, one day the Republicans get to hold the gavel, and the next day the Dems get to hold the
So
gavel.
what does this mean in all seriousness? Does this prevent more of the trifecta getting things done and jammed down our throats? Or what does this mean?
I think it'll make it a bit difficult for the trifecta to have its way. I think there's a chance here that much of their extreme will be tempered.
But all 67 are just going to vote down the party line.
They all
correct?
do, don't they?
Yeah.
Say, leave it to GLers. A lot of them have had fun with the math regarding feeding 59,000 meals on the 1.8 stretch of Lake Street. Shelley writes, while Feeding the Children program was feeding 59,000 kids on Lake Street was on fire due to the peaceful protests. That's a good point. Forgot about that. Dan writes, just a brief thought to put into perspective the space needed for 59,000 meals a day. I spent some time in a FEMA work camp in Georgia last October that was equipped to handle 2,000 linemen and supporting crews. The food tent and kitchen were just under the size of a football field, and the line at breakfast stretched 300 to 400 feet each day. Seems like someone would have noticed kids being fed on that kind of volume. Well, that's the point, Dan. It wasn't noticed. Scott writes, this involves math, so please be careful. In the ongoing trial, it was stated that the fraudsters were feeding about 30,000 kids twice a day in a 1.8-mile stretch of Lake Street, and yet no newscast had any idea of it. Here's how ridiculous the fraudsters were. There's 5,280 feet in a mile. There are 9,540 feet in 1.8 miles. During COVID, we were supposed to remain 6 feet away from each other, and markers were on sidewalks and floors wherever lines of people were expected. Remember that? Mm-hmm. If that rule was followed, just 1,580 people could be in line on one side of the street. If both sides were used, 3,160 people could be queued up at one time, and that ignores any cross streets that would cut off the number of people who could line up. Thus, the only way this could have worked would have been for people to have been in line for 20 straight hours each day to get the 59,000 meals handed out. How could not at least one person in the government have figured this out? Okay, it's time for me to answer that question and then put it away, because I'm getting nowhere suggesting that this was done purposefully, and I'm willing to let that go. But if it wasn't done purposely, then that means the people who kept paying the money are idiots. I don't think that's an unfair statement. It was either done purposefully, or the government is populated with thousands and thousands of idiots. I hate to demean you. I'm sure many of you aren't idiots, but what else answer do you want me to be left with?
Where else do you turn?
If it wasn't done purposefully, it was done by idiots. So I don't know where to go.
Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Hamlin's razor.
But I think stupidity is too kind.
Yeah, you're right.
When that much money is involved under preposterous circumstances, that's not stupidity. It's idiocy.
Morbid stupidity.
Morbid stupidity.
Better.
And I can't yet encounter anyone who cares.
You mean?
No, people in general in Minnesota, the topic's never brought up. When you do bring it up, they quickly deflect and point to other problems in the country. They don't care. The taxpayers of this state do not care.
How about like a tariff on fraud? Can we do that?
Beyond paying their taxes, they don't care about they don't care where their tax dollars go.
Nope.
And your tax dollars are in the hands of idiots, because I've been asked to make a decision.
Yeah.
They're either idiots or they're professionally doing this, and it's thievery. I can't get anywhere with that, and I'm willing to let that go. So that leaves idiocy. Every time a check request came in, there was nobody bothered to check it.
Just signed off on it.
Nobody did anything. They just paid the money.
It's like in Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks signing all his orders, remember?
Yeah.
Work. Hello, boys.
So maybe it's time to just keep, we'll continue to follow the trial for its moments of hilarity.
Comedic value.
It's comedic value, yeah, but there's really no point in me continuing this because nobody really cares. And I don't know what it would take. Everybody in Roseville desperately wanted to put another spender in the legislature. I hope Gottfried was honest. I hope he went to people's homes, knocked on the doors, and said, I really want to get in there and help spend the money.
Wonder how many of those voters heard that clip that we heard yesterday.
Probably zero. You want a definition of irony?
Yes.
The UN is going to have its climate summit this year in November at the Brazilian city of Belém, Belem. I'm getting this from the BBC. I don't know where Belém is, boys, but it's in Brazil. And this is going to be, the 30th Climate Summit. And in order to accommodate the UN guests, we're going to cut a 4-lane highway through tens of thousands of acres of protected Amazon rainforest.
I just Googled what you're talking about. It's
a new 4-lane highway cutting through tens of thousands of acres of protected Amazon rainforest is being built for the COP30 Climate Summit in the Brazilian city of Belém. It aims to ease traffic to the city, which will host more than 50,000 people, including, of course, those world leaders. The state government touts the highway's sustainable credentials. Well, there's no such thing. But some locals and conservationists are outraged. I don't. Along the partially built road, lush rainforest towers on either side, a reminder of what once was there. Logs are piled high in the cleared land, which stretches more than 8 miles through the rainforest into Belém. Diggers and machines carve through the forest floor, paving over wetland to surface the road, which will cut through a protected area. Come on. And you're going to continue to buy this BS, people?
It's North Brazil, about as close to the equator as you can possibly get.
Okay, normally I wouldn't mind building a road. I'm in favor of building roads.
You're pro-road.
Yes. But in this case, I think it's obscene to tear up 8 miles of protected rainforest. You can't do this and then come back and hector Western civilization for destroying the rainforest. I think this is obscene, and these people are seen for what they are.
So what is the reason for the road?
To make it easier to get into town for the conference to save the climate, to save the earth.
Yeah, that's really stupid.
Put up a quick trip,
Yeah, it's chopper, man.
Here's somebody named Claudio Veraquet, who lives 200 meters from where the road will be. He used to make an income from harvesting acai berries from trees that once occupied the space. Everything he was destroyed, he said, gesturing at the clearing. Our harvest has been cut down. We no longer have the income to support our family. He said he received no compensation from the state and is currently relying on savings. He worries that the construction of the road will lead to more deforestation in the future now that the area is more accessible for businesses. That's truly a shame. I'm pro rainforest.
I think that's a good stance.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
I'm
out
intrigued by it, and I buy its importance to the health of the world's environment and ecology. So why in the name of God do you phonies with the UN who preach out of one side of your mouth, you frauds, go in there and tear down 8 miles of the forest so you can have a highway to get into town for a Save the Earth conference? That is the definition of irony.
It's the jobs it's creating, Joe.
Or why not pick a location where you had easy access to
No,
said
that
conference?
doesn't. No, that makes too much sense. Shut up, dummy. You're making too much sense.
My bad.
What about all the spewing bulldozers making the road, Joe? The excavators, the tarring machines,
It's a lot of
the
cylinders.
rollers, and then the spewing that's going to go on after the road is done. It's going to be nonstop spewing.
People have wanted to build this highway since 2012, but wiser heads prevailed, and it was always prevented. I guess it took the power of the UN to come in. It's just, I just, please don't buy this BS. These people have nothing to do with the climate. If they did, they wouldn't do this. It should be as clear to you as possible that this is exactly proof of why this movement has not. It's just another chance for these phonies to take their laptops and go somewhere and pretend they're caring about the earth. They don't even have the good sense to do it where they didn't need to build 8 miles of highway through the rainforest.
Hypocrisy.
That's it.
What do you always say about the climate? I think you were about to say it and you interrupted yourself.
The
The climate isn't about the climate.
It's never. This whole movement has nothing to do with the climate.
Nothing?
Nothing. It's just a shame. And who are you hurting? Poor people.
Will they, when they build the highway, are we going to discover some tribe that we haven't ever discovered before? Isn't that usually what happens in the rainforest?
All wearing Chicago Bulls
Exactly.
T-shirts.
Or no, Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl champion T-shirts because they had to ship them off to
Right.
Central America.
They must not have environmental impact studies there, huh?
No.
Because that's what shuts down projects here in the States.
They're going to fly thousands of people around the world to an area where they have to create the infrastructure to host them. It really, people. This show should be done from another state because I don't think people in Minnesota give a bleep about this either.
Well, not everybody that listens to the show is from here.
But
true.
everybody should, if they're interested in climate change, I mean, the rainforest, they've always called it like the control center of the world as far as climate change goes. So why wouldn't those idiots be in favor of not destroying the rainforest, you know?
It's
You know?
just.
Well, and investigating this, because you asked for the location, Kenny, I can tell you that I did look for driving directions from Minneapolis to Belém, Brazil.
Yeah, how many hours are we talking
Well,
about?
it didn't give me a calculation, but I wouldn't recommend it because I think we'd have to go through, Honduras and Nicaragua, and I don't think
Does
that'd
it
be
give
very.
the how many miles?
It
is?
wouldn't calculate it for me, even though I tried to do it.
It's doable to drive there.
I bet it would
and
be.
when you get there, by the time you get there, they'll have the new 8-mile 4-lane highway built into town.
You might not have any vehicle left, but yeah.
Right. Or I'm sure there are a lot of gas stations that are available on that
A
road. right now.
Nicaraguan gas station.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bad pump.
How can they continue to get away with this behavior? That's the question. How can they continue to do these ridiculous stunts and still pretend that they're gathering in the name of saving the climate? I'm not sure. For certainty, the UN people in charge of this certainly haven't listened to the poor people who live in that region and didn't make their living from the forest and didn't want this highway. It's a shame that these kinds of people have control of such things, and it's an even worse shame that there are smart, intelligent people in the United States who buy this nonsense. It's absolutely incredible. I've got more on that, but I think I've made my peace.
Yes.
There's not a damn thing.
So you're not going to attend said climate conference?
I would not.
Okay.
John Kerry probably will. Because he has to fly around.
Well, he's got to. He has a job to do. He's
I mean,
fighting.
he's got a lot to do. I mean, he's trying to save save the earth, and he's a very busy guy.
He didn't he retire? I thought he retired from his
Yeah, but he'll
position.
still, they would love him as a guest.
John, when you're the
Guest
czar,
speaker.
you never retire. Your work is never done.
When you're Superman, remember?
Yeah.
I must fly.
Say, I want you to remember that Garage Logic's official garage door guy does it all, including new doors. That's PrecisionDoorMN.com. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. I've had them. I still got the sunglasses at my house. I got to get the guy named Adam came on. I got his sunglasses. It's bothering me. See, I can't get rid of them. Because what if he shows up in another month or something?
Back to get him.
Yeah. Put this number in your contact, 612-263-6985. They take care of your existing door and all the apparatus. If you think your door's on kaputs, is that a word?
Kaputs.
Kaput. Maybe you want a new door. Precision Door has models for every budget. They'll send a designer out that's free of charge. And if you get a new door right now, they're throwing in an opener valued at more than $760. Precision Door MN, one word. PrecisionDoorMN.com.
Show.
The only thing good about Matthew's car is that can of Deep Creep rolling around on the floor. Of the
I took a
back
hard right,
seat.
and that thing was flapping around way in the back because I got rid of all that Goodwill stuff.
And that's why the doors open easy on that car. That car needs every product Seafoam makes, every single one. You can go to seafoamworks.com to see all those wonderful products. Deep Creep, my favorite. It cleans, protects, restores, saves lives. Saved Joe's life hopping out of that garbage mobile. And over the weekend, a friend came over and he opened his truck door, and I could hear it from 100 yards away. He got out and asked me if I had a can of that other stuff. Of course I don't. I threw that in the burn pile years ago. They exploded. But I do have the best stuff on the market, Seafoam Deep Creep. I have a whole box of the stuff, so I gave him one. He shot some on his hinges. Next thing you know, that door was fast and happy. I even sent him home with his own can. So now he, like me and Matthew, and hopefully you, have a can in the back seat of whatever you're driving. You got to pick out 3 cans of Deep Creep when you go to the chem aisle in your favorite store. One for the house, one for the shop, and one for the car. It's the best product on the market. It's Deep Creep, another wonderful product from our friends at Seafoam.
I plan to spend some time Friday with garage door opener statistical information. The GLers continue to come through. The last is Oli, no last name, who said on Monday the whole crew was lamenting the loss of the GDO Records garage door opener. This led me to roll up my sleeves over lunch today, occupy the GL data analyst chair, and fire up the spreadsheet machine. The goal was to reconstruct the historical garage door opener record going back to 1901. He's got them all.
Wow.
More will be discussed Friday, which could in fact be a record earlier opener. Maybe not back to 1901. I'm going to go through his information. But for Garage Logic purposes, if we open the door Friday, the 14th, that'll beat the previous record by 2 days.
Got it.
The current record is March 16th, 2012.
What are you going to
16th,
do,
okay.
Joe?
Pardon?
What are you going to do, Joe, if it's 68 degrees, 69 degrees?
We'll work something out. We'll take care of it.
All right.
I've got some great news from our state Senate and legislature. The DFL is proposing we spend $100 million on reparations. We learned, of
For whom?
course,
To the Native Americans?
well, we learned, of course, that we have a very bleak fiscal outlook with the deficit rising to, over $5 billion. $6 billion if you account for inflation. But we have Sandy Pappas, May Quaid, Fa, I don't know who Fa is, and Fateh, bill for an act relating to state government establishing the Minnesota Migration Act, the Minnesota Migration Act account, requiring a report appropriating money to study and provide reparation grants for American descendants of chattel slavery who reside in the state. They want $100 million next year to be taken from the general fund for this purpose. I would say this is lunacy because, of course, it is. But in this state, it's not. This is business as usual. And I'm sure it will be met with some kind, warm thoughts from the people of Minnesota who think, why not? Why not? And then also, and I'm sure this will be also enjoyed by the people of Minnesota, that the Democrats in the House are proposing that 16-year-olds be allowed to vote.
Why not?
Well, and again, this will be warmly embraced by the type of people who gave Gottfried 70% of the vote. Why not? I mean, why not?
But make sure if some of those 16-year-olds commit a very offensive crime, they're still not tried as an adult until they're 18.
Never mind that you've got a county attorney in Minneapolis who believes that no one's mind is capable of the consequences of criminal behavior until they're about 21 or 22.
I thought it was 25.
25 maybe, Mary Moriality. But we've got a bill here sponsored by Representative Samantha Spencer-Mira, DFL Minneapolis. House File 203 has been referred to the Elections, Finance, and Government Operations Committee. And the bill has one co-author, Representative Emma Greenman, DFL Minneapolis. And if passed, it would become a ballot question. And the question would read, shall the Minnesota Constitution be amended to allow political subdivisions to lower the age to 16 years of age for local elections? And I would vote no, but I'm an outlier in this state.
Well, you hate kids. That's how it'd be framed.
I don't care for them. And there you have it. Now, these are great tidbits. I just want people to realize what great shape the state's in and how they continue to govern us so well. We want $100 million for reparations. We want 16-year-olds to vote, and everything's running smoothly.
Why did they decide 16?
The deficit? The new deficit's only maybe approaching $6-7 billion by the time the bill is due. I don't think that's that much. Think of what you could have done. Well, I was going to say, think of what you could have done if you didn't blow the surplus of $18 billion. $100 million of $18 billion's pocket change. You could have had your reparations, but that would establish a bad precedent because you would have to keep creating it. So, but 16-year-olds, they can't. They can drive, I think, right? You can get a license still when you're 16,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but that's about it.
But a lot of kids, they're choosing not to get their driver's license. I've been reading.
Oh boy, I know. I just the youngsters, and this must be a great feeling for the people tearing up the 8 miles of rainforest to save the earth. They must be heartened to realize kids don't have much of an interest in even driving.
No. I didn't know if you were going to get to this, but you did see the bill that was introduced yesterday that several
Is it another good news one?
GLers wanted you to be aware of.
Yeah.
Well, we're worried about what the state songs are going to be.
Oh. Well, that's between Dylan and Prince.
And the Hail Minnesota song, which is what the University of Minnesota fights on.
What song by Dylan is proposed?
Girl from the North Country.
And what song by Prince is proposed?
Well, come on, Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. I'll bet you $100 that they'll go with the Prince song.
We're getting.
I'd go with Dylan just because the length of his career, his impact, his poetry, his writing fills far more volumes of shelves than Prince. But I think I'd be fighting a losing battle to root for Dylan.
There's a lot of unreleased print stuff, though, sitting on shelves.
I'm just glad our elected officials are really getting to the bottom of the work that needs to be done for the.
What did Michelle, our meteorologist gal, how did she vote, or how is she going to vote?
Who?
The gal from Woodbury.
Yeah, the gal from Woodbury, the break into I can't remember her last name.
Nicole, not Michelle.
Oh, Nicole.
It's Nicole Mitchell.
Nicole Mitchell.
And so when you bring up
Is she chiming
Michelle, we were
Yeah,
puzzled.
I would be puzzled too. I think I still am. Yeah.
He confused himself.
Is she a Dylan or a Prince gal?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
Gary writes, I sell commercial HVAC equipment, and the Trump tariffs against Canada are serious and stupid. They are so stupid. They make no sense, completely unneeded. Almost every brand I sell has given us a price increase. There are many grades of steel and aluminum that the U.S. may not produce that grade or enough of all the grades of metals for the things we buy. U.S. manufacturers are now being hurt because they can't get materials from Canada and Mexico, or the price has gone up. The brands we sell from Canada are in complete fits over this. The U.S. buys a lot of finished products from Canada that the U.S. either doesn't make or doesn't have enough capacity to keep up with demand. Nordicware, remember I mentioned them yesterday?
Yes.
Nordicware in St. Louis Park is a company that makes the most of its stuff in the USA, from the foundry to the finished product. Just wait for the inflation to come, Gary. There's so many problems with tariffs that I don't know where to begin. Do you ever think of this problem? Let's say Trump protects some American companies from tariffs. Won't they just, under the guise of their protected status, raise their prices anyway to take advantage of the tariffs?
You'd think.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words,
Pass it along.
and what's this going to do to the Ford F-150, the best-selling vehicle in the country that requires a lot of aluminum and steel? A lot of aluminum and steel. What are they going to do?
The price is going to go up.
I was in Canada as recently as 10 months ago. I was in Thunder Bay for a couple of days. And it never occurred to me to look around and say, boy, I hope the U.S. screws these people. It never occurred to me. So I don't understand this. I don't understand the point of this. Unless he just wants to prove to his buddies that he, too, can take a country.
You think that's what this is?
I don't know. He keeps thinking it could become our cherished 51st state. Why in the hell would they want to become the 51st? They're their own country. They're a charter member of NATO. What is this? Why are you attacking Canada?
Mm-hmm.
I heard an interesting twist on the word derangement.
Derangement.
Maybe the people that really have the derangement are the people that believe all this BS is going to work. What to what end will this tariff in Canada? What are we supposed to gain from this?
Well,
You don't have to answer.
All right, thank you.
I'm telling you, the guy's anti-bunt cake. But now I learn maybe we're all right with bunt cakes because apparently Nordicware does get their raw materials.
Okay.
Why don't we get somebody on from bunt cake, please? I mean Nordicware.
Okay. All right.
Well, somebody that would be reliable to actually call them.
Hey, Glenn Buttcake, can you come on?
Who would that be? Huh? Right?
Glenn Buttcake.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
It's Nordicware. I would love to know what maybe they can explain it from the standpoint of someone who does get their raw materials from this country, but what kind of shape would they be in if all bunt cake pan manufacturing had to cease for a while they got this straightened out? In fact, could you write down the name and number, Rook? I'll call the guy and arrange to see if there can be a visit.
Perfect.
All right. Would you do that?
Yep.
I mean, today.
Oh,
within 10 minutes.
time is it? Yep.
And just another note from the Feeding Our Future trial. The woman who tried to bribe a juror last year, she was back in court Tuesday on a DWI charge. Her name is Layden Ali. She broke the terms of her release in a drunk driving arrest last month. She was arrested and charged with DWI. All sides agreed she could remain free. She doesn't have to go to the Huskow. She has to stay alcohol free. I thought Muslims didn't drink. Does anyone?
I thought that as
anyone?
well.
Staff?
I don't know that rule.
I thought Muslims eschewed alcohol.
Well, as a guy that spent some time in the service industry, I can tell you that I don't think that's true.
Well, then maybe
at all.
I'm wrong. Maybe alcohol is not forbidden.
Not big on the pork, you know.
Yeah. She's still waiting to learn her fate after she admitted leaving a bag filled with $120,000 cash at the doorstep of a juror last year.
Okay, here it is. Islam prohibits alcohol consumption, which is considered haram or forbidden. However, not all Muslims abstain from drinking alcohol.
Thank you.
Do you remember some of the folks who hijacked the planes on 9/11 were caught on videos in
they
bars
went the night before, didn't they?
the week before drinking. So
Well, weren't they irritating their local imams doing that?
Kind of a last hurrah.
I don't. Maybe that's it. Anyway, Layden Ali she gets to still walk among us, and she just has to lay off the booze, much less the $120,000 in a paper bag.
Which my hope for those terrorists that checked out on September 11th, my hope is that they went to meet their final maker and they expected to get in for what they did, but he said, "No, you went out the night before. You case closed. You're back to limbo."
You drank during Lent.
Yes.
Say, why don't we take a brief time out here and return with our man John Haidt?
We can, but how about first I tell you about my friends at North American Banking Company. It's banking done differently, and that's evident when you walk inside of any one of the 6 Twin Cities locations for North American Banking Company. I go to either the Roseville or the 50th and France location, but you can also see them in Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and they also have a location over in Maple Grove. They do offer all of the services as the other big national banks. And it doesn't matter. Maybe you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or maybe it's time to get that new car that you've been thinking about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other big banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And they are locally owned and operated. Here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. So your first step is checking them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently.
Before we go, it should be terribly obvious to you that the DFL wants 16-year-olds to vote so they can retain their power in perpetuity.
Right.
What do you want?
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Nothing is more frustrating than a clogged drain. So when it comes to keeping your plumbing and your drains running as smooth as silk, just remember uncloggdrains.com. That's the website for McDonough's, and they are definitely the team to trust. 651-436-3370. You can see the number right there. Huge wet dry vacuum trucks that can clean out catch basins and flammable waste traps, elevator pits, and a whole bunch more. But you might be just worried about maybe having clear sewer lines, maybe performing preventative maintenance to avoid those costly backups, what can ruin your home possibly, or at least where the water is. From homes to businesses, they handle everything from minor blockages to major drain issues, including water jetting, video inspections, all sorts of great stuff. Uncloggdrains.com. You can see it right there. Let them do your dirty work. Again, 651-436-3370. Get your drain unclogged at uncloggeddrains.com. That's uncloggeddrains.com, and let them know you heard it on the Garage Logic podcast.
Here is John Height.
Thank you, Joe.
First?
Pardon? Yeah.
May I first?
Sure.
We were having an off-air discussion about the reparations bill, and while you were reading it, all I could find was information from 2023 House File 2397. I was a bit startled at some of the language in there. We cleared matters up during the break, and I looked up the current edition, the one you were talking about, Joe, House File 2368, virtually the same language as the one from 2 years ago, where we are accepting blame for basically all of slavery here in Minnesota.
Right.
Right. So I'm really happy you brought that up.
Oh, wait. Slavery in Minnesota?
The bill actually says, although it was illegal in Minnesota, and then goes on from there.
Oh.
You know, and they
Okay.
bring up everybody from Dred Scott and
Right.
Harriet Scott to George Floyd and all sorts of other industries. And they bring up Rondo, of course, and
Didn't a lot of Minnesotans fight in the Civil War? I could be wrong.
many.
Oh, okay.
George Floyd was not a slave.
The state shall issue an
This has
apology
nothing to
for
do
the.
with George Floyd.
Hey, here's sub
just mentioned.
2. The state shall issue an apology for the past occurrence of chattel slavery and notable slave owners in Minnesota. Minnesota acknowledges and issues an official apology, and then they list 7 items there.
Wow.
This news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office has dismissed a December 30th vehicular homicide case due to the defendant's death. You'll remember this story. The Attorney's Office dismissed charges against 38-year-old Jeremy Sherman, who was accused of hitting 2 pedestrians and killing one while driving high on cocaine in St. Louis Park a day before New Year's Eve. A witness told police Sherman's vehicle was traveling very fast and made no attempt to slow down or stop after striking the 2 pedestrians. Mary Moriarty dismissing the case a day after the court issued a warrant for Sherman's arrest with bail posted at $300,000. Sherman allegedly violated a condition of his release relating to random substance testing. Sherman hit 51-year-old Manus Thack and her 60-year-old co-worker while the two were crossing the street. This is a different story than I told you guys about earlier. So
I know. I was just going to say how
ignore
confused I am.
what I told you earlier. Thack was pronounced dead at the scene and her co-worker was severely injured. Thack's daughter, Jenny, said her mother had immigrated from Vietnam in 1991 and worked for the company for over 25 years. Thack was killed the day before her 52nd birthday.
This is not the case of the
No.
motorist in St. Louis Park around Labor Day.
It is not.
All right.
No, at the bar. No. As you talked about, Joe, voters in parts of Roseville and Shoreview went to the polls yesterday, casting their ballots in a special election to determine the balance of power in the Minnesota House. DFLer David Godfrey defeated Republican Paul Wickstrom in House District 40B. That restores a 67-67 tie in the Minnesota House of Representatives. Godfrey ended up with just under 71% of the vote, Wickstrom with just under 30% of the vote. The founder of Minneapolis-based violence interrupter group 21 Days of Peace confirms one of his own was hurt in a shooting Monday night. It happened just after 9:30 near 36th and Penn Avenues North, and a man in his 30s was taken to the hospital, according to police. He was recovering at home as of Tuesday afternoon after being shot in the shoulder and grazed in the neck, said 21 Days of Peace founder Reverend Jerry McAfee. McAfee said they said he was fine, sedated a bit, so probably still in shock. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said thankfully it was not life-threatening. He called the intersection a problem location, which is why violence interrupters were there on Monday night. The last couple of violence interrupters were getting ready to leave a barbecue there when more than one person emerged from an alley and started shooting, hitting the team member who returned fire. O'Hara said he couldn't speak to whether police had any suspects as of yesterday. He said, we believe at least 3 different guns were involved and a few dozen rounds were exchanged. Nobody else was hurt, but bullets hit a nearby home, making it into a bedroom with children inside, according to police. From the Star Tribune, 8 more businesses have sued the city of Minneapolis over its handling of the neighborhood where George Floyd was killed, alleging their businesses were damaged when police stopped responding to the area and activists, gangs, and crime took over. The business owners say when the city blocked off a full block area around 38th Street and Chicago Avenue to give people a space to grieve in the summer of 2020, they allowed it to be overtaken by what they call civilian occupiers to the point where it became a violent, lawless, no-go zone that disrupted and in some cases ruined their businesses. They say the city's actions amounted to condemnation of their property without compensation. This latest lawsuit seeks $49 million in damages and includes a claim that by not providing the area with police protection, the city discriminated against the business owners based on their race, their gender, or sexual orientation. The city has filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. Sun Country Airlines lowering its expected earnings from the first quarter on Tuesday as consumers are cutting travel budgets. High end of Sun Country's total revenue outlook for the first part of the year has decreased from $330 million from $340. The Minneapolis-based airline also predicts fewer total hours flying this season and running along the lower end of its range for expected operating margin in the first quarter of 2025.
Mr. Airport, are you noticing a decline of traffic?
I am not. There is it's spring break and it's busy.
Thank you.
Yes.
And hundreds of samples of raw milk in Minnesota have been tested for bird flu as the state ramps up its effort to slow the spread of the virus. The national effort started in January. Minnesota's milk started getting tested last month. Now, a couple of weeks into the testing, 600 farms of the state's 1,600 have been tested, and there have been no positive tests. The current bird flu outbreak has led to the death of tens of millions of birds, taking a toll on farmers and sending egg prices soaring. And now the virus has spread to people and different animals, including cows. The goal is to test a sample from every one of the state's 1,600 dairy farms at least once a month. That would likely last for at least 1 year.
Is that? Oh, well, I guess I'll ask that later. But that seems a bit much, don't you guys think?
What?
What do you mean?
Make that much testing? What's that going to cost?
Hey, I don't want that bird flu.
What I'm confused by is how this has turned into a political issue now, and people are saying that the bird flu excuse is a lie because the egg producers are colluding to drive up the prices.
Haven't heard that one.
Yeah, that was yesterday I read that. So now once again, it's become a right versus left issue.
Why don't we take a break here and hear from our friend, Mr. Reaver.
Thank you, Johnny. I want you to go online and visit my friends at fastphotofilm.com. Their website, photo spelled with an F, by the way. Their website's really neat. They are your old-fashioned photo lab that offers in-house film processing, photo scanning, photo restoration, custom greeting cards for any occasion, photo books, and also so much more. It's a really cool website if you're looking for a unique gift for someone in your life. It's the best time of the year to dust off that old box of photographs, and you're going to receive 50% off their pro scan prices. The more photos you have, the greater the savings. And that's because every family has that old box of memories, and they oftentimes don't know what to do with them. Well, here's what you can do. How about you digitize them then for safekeeping that generations can then enjoy? And if you go online and visit fastphotofilm.com and you mention Garage Logic, there's a personalized gift just waiting for you, Joe. As long as you mention Garage Logic.
Car?
Well, I don't think they're going to give you a car.
Oh, all right.
You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
But if you do go online, the sale is going to run through the end of March. But like I said, if you mention GL, you're going to receive a custom gift. And this is also a really cool gift idea. But if you bring in one of your family photos, they can do all kinds of wall art. They can print on all kinds of media, fine art paper, canvas, and even metal prints. So just go online and visit fastphotofilm.com. Get that art print for your wall and turn it into a family heirloom. It'll be just wonderful. Fastphotofilm.com. Photo is spelled with an F. That's fastphotofilm.com. Please mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
Him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
In national and international news, tariff talk. President Trump did not double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum imports. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said after Lutnick and Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced Canada would suspend its new 25% surcharge on electricity exports. The tariff whiplash began after President Trump's decision to impose 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports imports from Canada and all other countries. White House spokesperson Kush Desai says that although Trump had backed off his threat of a 50% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports, the 25% tariffs would still take effect today as they were announced last month. Meanwhile, Canada is announcing $29.8 billion or $20.7 billion in American money in retaliatory tariffs in response to those 25% steel and aluminum tariffs. The European Union today announced retaliatory trade action with new duties on U.S. industrial and farm products, responding within hours to the Trump administration's increase in tariffs on all steel and aluminum. The EU measures will cover goods from the United States worth some $28 billion, and not just steel and aluminum, but also textiles, home appliances, and agricultural goods. Motorcycles, bourbon, peanut butter, and jeans will also be hit by the tariffs.
Do you think that in the vast and ever-expanding world of the podcast format that there's actually one out there called Tariff Talk, as John mentioned at the
I
beginning?
bet there is.
Call me now.
I can't imagine how fast you would be put to sleep.
Now, this is a serious tariff story right here, okay? Fender, their credit rating, the guitar maker, has been downgraded by Moody's, the credit rating analyst, because they get so much parts from China.
Yeah.
And big tariffs on China. Fender says they're going to have to raise their prices a lot. Yeah, this is not good. Yeah, their operating costs could go up 20 to 25 million bucks annually just because of the tariffs. They produce guitars in Ensenada, Mexico, and electronic products like amps and pedals in China, both of which have been hit by tariff increases in recent weeks. Unacceptable.
Well, you're stuck on guitars, and I'm stuck on a bunt cake.
Bunt cakes.
We get it down to where you can understand it. Guitars and cake.
U.S. inflation slowed last month for the first time since September, and a measure of underlying inflation fell to a four-year low, even as the tariffs threatened to send prices higher. The Consumer Price Index increased 2.8% in February from a year ago. Wednesday's report from the Labor Department shows down from 3% the previous month. Core prices, which excludes the volatile food and energy categories, rose 3.1% from a year earlier, down from 3.3% in January. That core figure is the lowest since April of 2021. Trump administration is cutting about half the U.S. Department of Education's workforce through a combination of mass layoffs and voluntary buyouts, administration officials said yesterday. More than 1,300 Education Department employees received termination notices yesterday after 572 employees accepted buyouts. The moves will cut the department from 4,133 workers when President Trump began his second term in January to 2,183 workers. The significant cuts come as Trump is considering an executive order attempting to dismantle the agency altogether. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announcing in an email to staffers yesterday it's laying off 1,000 more employees as part of the efforts to shrink the federal government. The agency, which includes the National Weather Service, forecasts weather, monitors oceanic and atmospheric conditions, and conducts deep sea exploration, among other responsibilities. They have a workforce of about 12,000 worldwide, already cut more than 880 employees 2 weeks ago, and now will add the 1,000 to that. Ukraine accepted a U.S. proposed 30-day ceasefire deal yesterday amid negotiations in Saudi Arabia. The agreement, contingent upon Russian acceptance, would halt fighting along the front line as well as in the air and sea. In exchange, the U.S. agreed to restore military aid to Ukraine, which was cut off after that tense Oval Office exchange between President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky 2 weeks ago. Right after Ukraine's declaration, by the way, Russia, trying to take advantage, apparently launched an air attack on Kyiv, with Mayor Vitaly Klitschko saying air defenses were engaged in repelling the strikes. Strikes also reported in the RIA news agency on Kharkiv. RIA cited the Ukrainian Ministry of Digital Transformation, which said air raid alerts were issued in Kyiv 10 regions. NASA's newest space telescope rocketed into orbit last night to map the entire sky like never before. It should give us a sweeping look at hundreds of millions of galaxies and their shared cosmic glow since the beginning of time. SpaceX launched the Spherix Observatory from California, putting it on course to fly over Earth's poles. Tagging along were 4 suitcase-sized satellites to study the sun. Sphere X popped off the rocket's upper stage first, drifting into the blackness of space with a blue Earth in the background. The $488 million mission aims to explain how galaxies formed and evolved over billions of years and how the universe expanded so fast in its first moments, and in fact could give us some indication of how that whole Big Bang thing ended up.
Well, I have some more Sky News coming up after John, but in the meantime, John's not done yet, but I wanted to say, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you see a star in the sky, that star probably no longer even exists.
Why is that, Joe?
Well, because the light you're seeing has been traveling for a long time. Yeah. Light years.
Well, if it does exist, we don't know.
We don't know.
How do you know?
Well, you wouldn't be able to get there in time to verify its location.
That's the problem.
It'll take a while.
Yeah.
It'd be like chasing whack-a-mole. You
Yeah,
just keep
right.
racing to stars, and
Yeah.
they're not there anymore.
You'd really have to go fast.
Yeah.
Here's a flight you probably didn't want to be on. A satanic disciple stowed away on a flight to Florida as one passenger saw it, and something had to be done. Less than a minute after an American Airlines flight took off from Savannah, Georgia for Miami on Monday night, a passenger began yelling and shaking. Flight attendants initially thought he was having a seizure, but it turned out he was struggling because he thought a demonic spirit had invaded the cabin. At one point during the flight, he even began swallowing rosary beads to ward
boy.
the spirit off.
Now, wait a minute. He's a devil worshiper, but he's going with the beads?
I don't think that they meant he was a devil worshiper. They just thought he
He was in a satanic
He had
cult.
some demonic tendencies, or
he thought there was a demonic person on board.
well, some of those flight attendants
So
can
he
be
wasn't
tough.
a disciple. He thought there was a satanic disciple on board.
Well, he wasn't himself a satanic disciple.
Yes. Let me read that first sentence to you again. A satanic disciple had stowed away on a flight to Florida as one passenger saw it, and something had to be done.
Oh, as
So
one
he had to-
passenger saw it. Yeah.
He had to fight the satanic disciple, he thought, and he started by swallowing rosary beads.
That's
to
what I
ward
would
the
do.
You were hung up on the fact that this psycho may have had a theme problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's, if he's a devil guy, you
can't go with the beads.
How do you even have a rosary?
Right.
You know.
As attendants approached the man, 31-year-old DeLange Augustine, he kicked one of them in the chest so hard the attendant tumbled across the aisle and into a window on the other side of the plane, according to the arrest affidavit. That's when the cabin crew realized that Augustine, who was traveling with his sister, was not having a medical emergency. Augustine's choices, according to a special agent with the FBI, appeared purposeful, though difficult to describe. The pilots turned the plane around when they heard the commotion. They landed it safely in Savannah, but that was not the end of everything. Disembarkation from the jet spiraled into chaos when Augustine stormed to the front of the plane, threw wild punches at a flight attendant before the door had been opened. Several passengers then helped to wrestle him and his sister to the ground. That's when authorities learned Augustine had swallowed the rosary beads, so he was taken to a hospital where he was evaluated and discharged to a county detention center. In the detention center, his sister told the authorities they had been traveling to Haiti to, quote, flee religious attacks of a spiritual nature. Augustine had told his sister to close her eyes and pray because Satan's disciples had followed them onto the plane, and the Legion did not want the Augustines to make it to Haiti.
Was he a funny-looking guy? Is there a picture? He
There's
had
no-
pointed
there was-
ears or anything like that?
No, there was no picture with this story.
It sounds to me like he wasn't himself a satanic creature. He was described as thus by someone on the plane. He was just maybe just drug-addled.
I'm going to read that first sentence one more time, okay? One more time.
Are you not kidding?
Hey,
They say
Reavers, pay attention.
a satanic disciple had stowed away on a flight to Florida. As one passenger saw it, that passenger would be Augustine.
So as
As
he
one
saw
passenger saw it,
a satanic, demonic person
he
was
thought
on the plane.
there were demons on the plane. The guy
Right,
that
but
got
the
arrested.
guy who ate the beads himself wasn't a satanic disciple.
That's correct.
Correct, Mundo
Chris,
number of
Chris, I'm really sorry I laughed at you yesterday. I really am. I'm
Oh,
really sorry.
I have a question.
Well, I do. As one person saw it. What is that reference?
That's Augustine. The one person is Augustine.
It's oddly written, yes. Is it Auk, die Lieber Augustine?
We should schedule a doctor's appointment.
Anyway, Augustine was booked into jail on a misdemeanor battery charge, misdemeanor obstruction of law enforcement charge, and a felony count of criminal property damage, according to the jail's records. Yeah. I wish we still had that old sounder we had where the guy says, perhaps if you took the out of your ears.
Yeah. Oh, we still have that. I thought I
Bleep in ears?
I saw it showed up on. I thought it was
As
over
I
here.
said before, but it seems to me you must have in your ears.
Yeah.
That was the professor from McAllister.
Yeah. He's still there, I think.
Yeah, very.
Oh, he's a hell of a prof.
Yeah.
He's all right. He's okay.
Where did
He's
you get
going
the
over to-
beads?
Thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.
And I want to tell you that maybe to avoid some of this,
Joe here for Miracle Ear.
Yeah.
I heard
Starkey,
everything. That wasn't the point. It was a clumsy story. I didn't know who the devil was. But now I know.
Okay.
There wasn't one.
Got it.
Huh?
The guy
he
who
thought there
swallowed
was.
the beads was a crackpot.
And he thought there was a devil on board.
That's right.
But he went down to Georgia.
This does. This does
Well, he was
not.
technically flying from Savannah to Miami.
One of my favorite cities.
Savannah, Georgia.
This is.
Time.
This doesn't happen in Sioux Falls at the
Yes.
airport. They got an airport. If you're thinking of relocating your business or starting a new one, maybe consider Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sioux Falls, the state's largest city with a population of more than 290,000 in a state where there is no state corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and no limits to what your business can achieve. South Dakota rocks, man. They're tax-friendly, hardworking, most popular to move to, according to top10.com. Fastest growing Midwest metro, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. A lot of information waiting for you at Sioux Falls Development. That's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Show.
Tell you what, I think you'd better do this right now. Go to GarageLogic.com. After you get your brand new Garage Logic flag at the online shop, make sure you upgrade your town council membership because you want to be eligible to be highlighted in the show by the mayor himself to become the GLer of the week. All you have to do is have an active annual town council membership by this Friday. You'll also get that amazing $50 gift basket from our friends at Masters Maples. Don't wait! Join the town council or upgrade your membership right now. And you, yes, you could be the GLer of the week. Yes. Find all of the information and the details online at GarageLogic.com.
Say, don't forget, this Saturday, our Garage Logic pianist, Stephen C. Anderson, will be doing a free show at the Cathedral at 1 p.m. And he's got guests with him, and the sound in there is extraordinary. Go to Eventbrite for more information, Eventbrite. But it's this Saturday. Stephen C. heard often on the GL show.
I may have to surprise my wife by going to that.
By yourself?
No, with her.
Oh.
What a gift.
Why would you do that?
Free.
Because it's free. That's why he's
You're
going
going
to
to
go.
go separate
Well,
cars,
donations are accepted.
I'll take them.
Right? You go in two vehicles so you can cut out of there early.
Yeah.
Say, I
Pass it
said I had
aside.
more news on the sky. Do you know that we are on the verge of a blood worm moon eclipse? The blood moon.
Yeah.
This will be the first lunar eclipse in 3 years. The blood worm moon, this is tomorrow night. It's so named for the reddish hue of its glow and the time of year it's occurring. Let's see. People on the West Coast will see this week's total eclipse beginning at 11:26 p.m. tomorrow, while those on the East Coast will see it at 2:26 a.m. Friday. Well, is this one of those deals where you got to be up at 2 in the morning to see it?
Well, it's tough to see it at noon.
Totality will last for 65 minutes. Well, I probably will miss this celestial event. I ain't getting up and hauling myself outside at one of the. If it's 2:26 a.m. on the east, that's 1:26 a.m. here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna miss it.
You're going to miss it.
I'm gonna miss it. Although I love the I love the names of the moon given to the moon by our Native American brothers and sisters. You got your eagle moon. You got your goose moon. You got your crow comes back moon. I love that.
Crow
the
comes back moon. What does that look like?
The sugar moon, the wind strong moon, the sore eyes moon. And this is just the names for the March moon, are just those names.
They throw me a paper moon?
That's not in here.
You got a double moon. You got a Keith moon.
Yeah. Isn't that wonderful, though? The wind strong moon and the crow comes back.
That's pretty cool.
Kids, you're looking at the crow comes back moon.
It's middle of the night.
And then, of course, the blood red moon.
Blood.
Because of the color it will take on. And I won't see it, unfortunately, because it's going to be happening. You know what I'll rely on? People will be taking videos of it.
It's just not the same, but at least you get a little taste.
I misplaced my notes from the traveling Lymans, who are in, and it was all about the
Kuala Lumpur or something like that.
No, they're at Marloth Park in South Africa, Mpumalanga.
Oh, yeah.
But it was he had a great description of pronunciation, and he had today's sports failures on there. And you saw me sitting in here. I had it in my hand. I don't know where it went. I can't find it. But we do have.
Is it lengthy?
Because they come from all that way. No, this is a very short edition.
Okay, I'll take that
of this day. On this day,
Joe, today is March 12th.
In 1872, Rutherford B. Hayes, between terms as governor of Ohio, spent the morning in St. Paul visiting the state capitol and other places of note in the city.
Why?
He then served as U.S. president from 1877 to 1881. Was he the fat guy where they had to get the special bathtub, or is that Taft?
That was Taft.
Taft, yeah. And only one other thing on this, in a sad note.
Did Taft get out much?
Not as much as we would have liked. On this day, in 1877, a sad note, Duluth, having suffered a loss of population, reverted from a city back to just a town.
What's the distinction?
Apparently the number of people.
Gotcha.
Because Duluth was rocking and rolling there. They were, hey, we're a city.
Oh, hey, we got to go back.
And now it's, oh man, so many people have left. We're a town now. Duluth town. Mm-hmm. The town of Duluth. It used to be the city of Duluth until this day in 1877, and then it rebounded. It had to have rebounded because we certainly refer to Duluth today as a city.
Might that happen to, say, St. Paul?
It could.
Yeah.
St. Paul is, you had the Alliance Bank building people were given, what,
How about that?
24 hours?
Right, you're out on your hind
to
end.
leave.
Turning the electricity off.
The guy forgot to pay the bill.
I don't know, man. It's
Is that part of the 10 that are available that are owned by the
Madison Equities?
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you very much, GLers.
Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already. You need to join the thousands of subscribers to the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right. Garage Logic's got a YouTube channel, and you can interact with the show as you watch it live each and every single day, starting right around noon. And you can see full segments. There's video shorts. There's behind-the-scenes footage in some cases, but it's all there for you online at the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Check it on out. And you can follow us on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. And sign up for the Daily Logician. It's an email. It comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. It's right there for you. Find it online at garagelogic.com.
Where's that stapler at?
It's on the counter.
What counter?
In there.
Out there?